Everett, please don't shut me out. I never meant to hurt you.
Lucinda, you ended us the moment you chose him.
I should have known something was wrong when Kelly spent 45 minutes getting ready for a work dinner. Not that she didn't always look good. My wife had that effortless thing going on, the kind of beauty that made other women hate her a little and men stumble over their words. But tonight was different. Tonight she changed outfits 3 times, settled on a black dress that hugged every curve, and sprayed on perfume I'd bought her for Christmas, perfume she hadn't worn since the day I gave it to her. "You look amazing," I said from the doorway of our bedroom, watching her adjust her hair in the mirror. She glanced at me, smiled briefly. "Thanks. We should go. I don't want to be late." Her phone buzzed on the dresser. She grabbed it before I could see the screen, read something, and her smile widened. That's just Lauren confirming she'll be there. Lauren, her co-worker. I nodded, tried to ignore the way she'd angled the phone away from me, how quickly she'd locked it. We lived in a city that pretended to be better than it was. Old brick mill buildings converted into trendy lofts and offices, a waterfront that looked romantic in photographs but smelled like low tide and industrial runoff up close. The kind of place where people moved for opportunity and stayed because they got stuck. Our neighborhood was older, more honest about what it was. Squeaky floors, thin walls, neighbors who actually said hello. Kelly had been talking about moving downtown, closer to her office, somewhere more exciting. I drove us to the restaurant in our 7-year-old Civic. Kelly kept checking her phone, typing quickly, laughing at something on her screen. "Work stuff?" I asked. "Just coordinating with everyone." She didn't look up. The restaurant was one of those waterfront places that charged $30 for 6 shrimp and called it upscale dining. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the gray Atlantic, white tablecloths and soft lighting, trying to make everyone forget they were eating beside the same ocean that swallowed cargo ships and shit out trash onto the beaches. Kelly spotted them first. There they are. I followed her gaze to a large table near the windows. 6 people were already seated. I recognized a few faces from Kelly's office Christmas party last year. Lauren, definitely, with her precise blonde bob and calculating eyes. A guy named Tim who'd cornered me for 20 minutes talking about his fantasy football league. And him, David Brennan, Kelly's boss, director of accounts, or maybe VP of marketing. One of those titles that sounded impressive but meant he spent most of his day in meetings talking about synergy and leveraging assets. Mid-40s, expensive suit, salt and pepper hair styled like he'd just walked off a yacht. Wedding ring that probably cost more than my car. He'd been with the company for 8 years, Kelly for 3, and in those 3 years she'd gotten 2 promotions and a $15,000 raise. His eyes locked onto Kelly the moment we approached. Not the polite acknowledgement you'd give a colleague. Something else. Something that made my stomach tighten. "Kelly." He stood, opened his arms. She walked into them like it was the most natural thing in the world, let him hug her just a beat too long. "And you must be the husband. David Brennan." He extended his hand to me, his smile wide and practiced. I shook it. His grip was firm, probably rehearsed in some corporate leadership seminar. "Nice to meet you." "I've heard so much about you," David said, and there was something in his tone that made the words feel like a trap. We sat. I ended up between Kelly and Tim, directly across from David. A woman I didn't recognize sat beside him, expensive jewelry, perfect posture, the kind of woman who lunched professionally. David introduced her as his wife, Patricia. She gave me a tight smile that didn't reach her eyes, then went back to her wine. The server came. Everyone ordered drinks. Kelly got a martini, something she never ordered when we went out alone. David got a scotch, neat, and made a show of asking about the vintage. "So," David said once the drinks arrived, leaning back in his chair like he owned the place, "Kelly tells me you're in insurance?" "Claims investigation," I said. "I verify accident reports, check for fraud, interview witnesses, that kind of thing." "Interesting." His tone suggested it was anything but. Must be quite the change of pace from Kelly's world, all that creative energy, the fast-paced campaigns, the late-night strategizing. He looked at Kelly when he said late nights, and she smiled into her martini. I felt it then, that first real spike of something wrong, the way they looked at each other, the comfort in their body language, the inside joke quality of his words. Dinner progressed, appetizers arrived, conversation flowed around me like I was a rock in a stream, acknowledged but ultimately irrelevant. They talked about work, about campaigns I'd never heard of, about people whose names meant nothing to me. Kelly got more animated with each drink, laughing louder, touching David's arm when she made a point. I watched. I'm good at watching. It's literally my job, noticing the small inconsistencies that reveal the bigger lies. The way someone shifts their weight when they are not telling the truth. The micro-expressions that flash across a face before the mask slides back into place. The details that don't add up. Like how Kelly mentioned a late strategy session last Thursday that had her coming home at 11, but David just referenced a Thursday afternoon presentation to the client. Small thing. Probably nothing. Except Kelly's face went tight for half a second when he said it, and she changed the subject fast. Like how Lauren kept glancing between Kelly and David with this knowing smirk. Like she was watching a show she'd already seen. Like how Patricia Brennan stared at her husband with something that looked a lot like contempt, and he didn't even notice. I excused myself to the bathroom, needed a break from the performance. The restaurant bathroom was trying too hard, like everything else in this city. Edison bulbs, exposed brick, a chalkboard with some twee quote about living your best life. I washed my hands, stared at myself in the mirror. 36 years old. Still had most of my hair, still fit into the same jeans I'd worn in college, still married to the woman I'd loved since I was 23. When I got back to the table, dessert menus were being passed around. Kelly had moved her chair slightly closer to David's. They were looking at something on her phone, heads bent together, laughing. "Oh, you have to see this," Kelly said to the table, holding up her phone. "This TikTok perfectly captures what it's like working with David." Everyone leaned in. I couldn't see the screen from my angle. Whatever it was made Lauren snort laugh into her wine. Tim grinned. Patricia's expression stayed frozen. "That's great," David said, handing the phone back to Kelly. His fingers brushed hers. "You know me too well." Kelly beamed at him. Actual beaming. The expression she used to give me when I'd surprise her with her favorite takeout or remember some small thing she'd mentioned in passing. When the hell had she started looking at him like that? The server took dessert orders. Kelly and David both ordered the chocolate lava cake. "Great minds," David said, holding up his scotch glass to her. She clinked her martini against it. "I ordered coffee, black. I had a feeling I was going to need to be sharp." Conversation continued. Work gossip, mostly. Who was sleeping with who in the sales department, which client was impossible to please. The usual corporate drama that meant everything to the people living it and nothing to anyone else. I contributed when directly asked a question, but mostly just observed. Then David leaned back in his chair, swirled his scotch, and looked directly at me with this shit-eating grin. "You know, Kelly warned me you were the quiet type. Said you're a real still waters run deep kind of guy." "Did she?" I said, not a question. "Oh yeah, she tells me everything." He took a sip of his scotch, let that hang in the air. "Like how you're apparently very particular about your side of the bed. Won't sleep on the left side, always have to be on the right. Something about needing to face the door." I felt my spine straighten. That was true. Weird quirk I'd had since I was a kid. Some deep-seated need to see the entrance to any room I was sleeping in. Kelly used to tease me about it. Called it my caveman instinct. But it wasn't the kind of thing you told your boss. It wasn't the kind of thing you told anyone. "Interesting thing to share," I said carefully. David shrugged. "Hey, we're a close team. We share everything. Like how Kelly mentioned you have this whole thing about breakfast food. Won't eat eggs unless they're scrambled, and they have to be scrambled dry, otherwise you can't handle the texture. Also true. Weirdly specific. Also not the kind of thing you told your coworkers." "Kelly talks about you all the time," Lauren chimed in, and there was something nasty in her smile. "We feel like we know you." I looked at Kelly. She was studying her martini glass, avoiding my eyes. "What else has she told you?" I asked, keeping my voice level. David laughed. "Oh man, where do I start? There was that whole story about your gym phase last year. Apparently you bought all this workout equipment, used it twice, and now it's basically an expensive coat rack." True. Embarrassing. Something Kelly and I had laughed about in bed one night. Just the two of us, private. "And the thing about how you refuse to eat at chain restaurants," Tim added, getting in on it now. "Like you'll drive an extra 30 minutes just to avoid an Applebee's." "Okay," I said, and my voice had an edge now. "That's enough." But David wasn't done. David was on a roll, playing to his audience, my humiliation his entertainment. He leaned forward, that grin getting wider. "But my favorite, and Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong, my favorite was the story about your special move." The table went quiet. I felt my pulse in my ears. David looked at Kelly, then back at me. "The thing you do right before you finish. That little—" "David," Patricia said sharply. But he kept going, making a gesture I won't describe, and the punchline was something so specific, so intimate, so absolutely private that there was no possible way he could know it unless Kelly had told him. Unless they had discussed, in detail, what happened in our bedroom. Everyone laughed. Everyone except Patricia, who looked like she wanted to be literally anywhere else. And me, and Kelly, who was laughing, but her laugh was wrong, nervous, pitched too high. I stared at David, then at my wife, the woman I'd been with for 13 years, married to for 9, the woman who'd promised to honor and cherish me, who'd cried at our wedding and told me I was her everything. "How would you even know that?" I asked. My voice came out flat, cold. David's grin faltered slightly. "Kelly told me, man. We're just joking around." I looked at Kelly. "You told him that. You told your boss explicit details about our private life." Her face flushed. "It's not that serious. We were just talking, and that's pretty intimate information to share with a coworker," I said. "Oh, come on," Kelly said, and now she sounded defensive. "Don't be so sensitive. It's not like I showed him pictures." The table had gone silent. Everyone was staring at their plates except David, who was watching me with something between amusement and challenge in his eyes. "We share everything," Kelly said, looking at David now, not me. "He's not just my boss. He's my friend, my mentor. We talk about real things, life things, not just work." "Real things," I repeated, "like what I do in bed." "You're making this weird," Kelly said. "I'm making this weird." I could hear my heartbeat, feel the heat climbing up my neck. "Your boss just described something that should only exist between you and me, and I'm making it weird by being uncomfortable." "It was a joke," David said, but his easy confidence had cracked slightly. He glanced at Patricia, who was staring at him with an expression I couldn't quite read. "Kelly and I have a very open, very honest working relationship. Sometimes we talk about personal stuff. It's what makes our professional partnership so effective." "Partnership. Interesting word choice." "Right," I said. "Partnership." Kelly reached for my hand under the table. I pulled away. "Don't do this here," she said quietly. "Do what? Be upset that you've been sharing intimate details of our marriage with your boss?" "You're being controlling," Kelly said, and her voice had shifted, gotten harder. "This is exactly what I was talking about. You don't understand how work relationships function. You don't understand that sometimes people talk about their personal lives. You want me to what? Pretend I don't have a life outside of you?" I stared at her, watched her reframe this. "Make me the problem." "If you don't like how I interact with my colleagues," Kelly said, and her eyes were bright, her voice carrying across the table now. "If you don't like that I have friends, that I have a life, that I talk to people who actually understand me, then maybe you should go home." The table was silent. David was watching me, that smug smile creeping back. Patricia was staring at Kelly like she'd just confirmed something. Lauren and Tim were both looking down, suddenly very interested in their desserts. I stood up, carefully folded my napkin and placed it on my plate, pulled my wallet out, took out 3 20s, set them on the table. "For my portion," I said. "Don't be dramatic," Kelly said. I looked at her, really looked at her, at this woman who'd just humiliated me in front of her coworkers and boss, who'd shared our private intimacy like it was gossip, who'd told me to go home when I objected to being made a punchline. "Enjoy your dessert," I said. I walked out of that restaurant with every eye on me, walked through the trendy dining room with its waterfront views and soft lighting, walked past the host stand where a young couple was waiting for a table, probably on a date, probably still in that phase where they believed in forever. Walked out into the parking lot where the ocean wind smelled like salt and rotting kelp and the end of something I hadn't known was ending. Got in my car, closed the door, sat in the dark. They thought I was walking away from the table. They had no idea I was walking toward them. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through my contacts. My thumb hovered over several names. My brother, my best friend from college, my lawyer. Then I stopped on a name I'd only added 6 months ago at a company picnic. Kelly had introduced us briefly. "This is David's wife, Patricia," and we'd exchanged maybe 10 words. She'd seemed polite, sharp, had made some observation about the cheap beer and overcooked hot dogs that made me laugh. I'd put her number in my phone thinking maybe we'd do couple things, double dates, normal stuff. I stared at her name, thought about that look on her face when David made his joke. That contempt, that lack of surprise. She already knew. My hand was shaking when I pressed call. It rang 3 times. I almost hung up. Then, "Hello?" Her voice was cautious. "Patricia, it's Kelly's husband. I don't know if you remember me." "I remember. Are you okay?" Something in her tone. Not surprise, concern, but not the kind you had for a stranger. The kind you had for someone you'd been expecting to call. "No," I said. "I'm not. And I don't think you are either." Silence on the line. Then, Where are you? Parking lot of the restaurant. I left. Good, stay there. I'm coming out. You're still inside? Not for long. Give me 3 minutes. She hung up. I sat in my car and watched the restaurant entrance. Through the windows, I could see our table. Kelly was leaning toward David, talking animatedly. He was laughing. Lauren was on her phone. Tim was eating his dessert. They'd already moved on. I was already forgotten. 2 minutes later, Patricia emerged. She'd left her coat, just had her purse. She looked around the parking lot, spotted my car, walked over with purpose. I unlocked the passenger door. She got in. Drive, she said. Not far, just away from here. I pulled out of the parking lot, drove 2 blocks to a 24-hour diner, one of those old-school places with cracked vinyl booths and fluorescent lighting that made everyone look sick, parked in the back of their lot. Patricia stared straight ahead for a moment. Then she said, "How long have you known?" "About 30 minutes," I said. "You?" 6 months, maybe longer. I stopped keeping track. My stomach dropped. 6 months. I didn't want to believe it at first, Patricia said. She opened her purse, pulled out her phone. Started noticing things. Late nights, new cologne, the way he said her name. You know how people say a name when they're sleeping with someone? That soft way, like it tastes good. I knew exactly what she meant. I'd heard Kelly say David like that. I'd thought I was imagining things. I started paying attention, Patricia continued. Checked phone bills. Not the content, just the data. Hours and hours of calls. Late at night, early morning, weekends when he said he was golfing or at the gym. Then I did what any good lawyer would do. You're a lawyer? Real estate attorney. I know how to document things. She started swiping through her phone. Started taking photos of receipts he left around. Hotel charges on the credit card, charges he'd label as client dinners that happened on Saturdays, flowers I never received, lingerie purchases in sizes I don't wear. She handed me her phone. I scrolled through images. Receipts from boutique hotels, dinner bills for 2, a jewelry purchase from last month, earrings, diamonds, $1,500. I'd seen those earrings. Kelly had worn them to work last week, told me she'd gotten them on sale. Jesus, I whispered. That's not even the good part, Patricia said. She took her phone back, swiped some more, then turned it to face me again. 2 months ago, I put a voice-activated recorder in his car. Not admissible in court, but I don't care about court. I care about knowing. She pressed play. David's voice came through the phone speaker, tinny but clear. I can't wait until Friday. We should do that boutique place in Portland you mentioned. Kelly's voice. Won't Patricia wonder where you are? I'll tell her it's a client site visit. She never questions work trips anymore. Kelly laughed. You're terrible. You love it. I do. I really do. God, I can't believe how different this feels. Like Michael is fine, you know? He's stable, reliable. But he's boring, David. He comes home, we watch TV, we eat dinner, we go to bed. Same thing every night. With you, I feel alive. My vision blurred. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. Michael doesn't deserve this, Kelly's voice continued. I mean, he's a good guy, but I can't help how I feel. You make me feel seen, important, like I matter. You do matter, David said. You're brilliant, you're beautiful, you're wasted on him, honestly. He doesn't appreciate what he has. I know. He doesn't even notice when I try anymore. I wore that lingerie you bought me last week, and you know what he said? That's nice. That's it. That's nice. Like I was wearing a new pair of jeans or something. They both laughed. Patricia stopped the recording. There's 3 hours of that. Want to hear more? I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. The woman I loved, the woman I'd built a life with, talking about me like I was an inconvenient roommate. Boring, stable, reliable. Those were supposed to be good things. Those were the things she'd said she wanted when we got married. Security, partnership, consistency. I confronted him once, Patricia said, about 2 months ago. He denied everything. Said I was paranoid, accused me of being controlling, said I was pushing him away with my suspicions. Classic gaslighting, made me feel crazy for believing my own eyes. Kelly did the same thing tonight, I said quietly. Called me controlling when I objected to her sharing our private life. They have a playbook, Patricia said. They coordinate their stories. I've heard them on the phone, making sure their alibis match up. Planning who's going to be where, when, it's methodical. She pulled up another file on her phone. This is from 3 weeks ago, overheaded on speakerphone when David thought I was out shopping. She played it. David's voice. We need to be more careful. Patricia's been acting strange. I think she might suspect something. Kelly, what do you want to do? David, just stick to the plan. Keep Michael in the dark. He's not going to figure anything out. The guy's basically a drone. Work, home, TV, sleep. He doesn't pay attention to details. I laughed. It came out bitter, sharp. I investigate fraud for a living. Details are literally my job. They underestimate people, Patricia said. That's their weakness. They're so convinced they're smarter than everyone else, so sure they're getting away with it, that they get sloppy. She pulled up another photo. This one was a screenshot of an email. This, she said, is where it gets interesting. I read the email. It was from David to Kelly, sent from his personal account. The subject line was Portland. The body read, I talked to the regional VP yesterday. The Portland office expansion is happening. They want someone senior to head up the new marketing division. I recommended you. It's basically a sure thing. They love your work. Salary would be $140K plus bonuses. Housing stipend, the whole package. We could both be there by spring. Fresh start. Just the two of us. Everything we talked about. I stared at the screen. Read it again. Portland, I said. They're planning to move. Together. Not just move, Patricia said. Look at the timeline. He sent that 2 weeks ago, which means this has been in the works for a while, which means they're not just having an affair, they're planning a future. My mind raced. Kelly had mentioned Portland recently, said her company was expanding, opening new offices, asked me hypothetically how I'd feel about relocating for her career. I'd said I'd think about it, that we could discuss it if it became real. She'd already made the decision. She just hadn't told me yet. There's more, Patricia said. She scrolled to another email. This one's from Kelly to David. I read, I'm worried about the timing. Michael's going to freak when I tell him about Portland. He hates change, and I can't exactly tell him the real reason I want to move. I was thinking I could start planting seeds that our marriage isn't working. Make him think it's mutual. Get him used to the idea of separation. Then when I bring up Portland, it'll feel like a natural next step. Clean break. Below that, David had responded, Good plan. You could start emphasizing differences. Tell your friends he's controlling, that he doesn't support your career. Build a narrative. That way when you do leave, everyone will understand. They'll think you had no choice. I closed my eyes. Opened them. The words were still there. They've been gaslighting you, Patricia said, systematically, making you doubt yourself, making you look unstable or controlling to their friends so that when they blow up your marriage, everyone will believe their version. Tonight, I said slowly, telling me to go home if I didn't like how she talked about our marriage, making me the bad guy in front of everyone. That was part of it. Guaranteed, she's building evidence. Witnesses who'll say you were jealous, possessive, unreasonable, so when she files for divorce and moves to Portland with your wife's boss, she's the victim who escaped an unhappy marriage. I thought about the last few months, Kelly telling her mother I didn't want her to succeed, Kelly mentioning to our neighbors that I was going through something, Kelly posting on social media about choosing yourself and not letting anyone dim your light. I thought she was just being inspirational. She was building a narrative. They're smart, I said. They're not smart enough, Patricia said. She looked at me directly. I've been documenting everything for 6 months. I have recordings, emails, receipts, photos, a complete timeline of their affair. I was going to use it in divorce proceedings, but I wanted to wait until I had everything lined up. Financial records separated, our assets protected. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm tired of waiting, Patricia said. And because tonight, watching your wife humiliate you at that table while my husband sat there grinning like he'd won something, I realized I'm done being patient. I'm done being careful. I'm done letting them think they're going to get away with this. She held out her hand. If what I suspect is true, your husband and my wife have been having strategy meetings for a long time. Probably before tonight. Probably before they ever touched. They've been planning this, coordinating it, preparing for it. They think they're steps ahead. I took her hand, shook it. Bring everything you have, I said. I think I might have something you'll want to see too. Before we continue, hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We'd love to get to know our audience better. That night, I drafted divorce papers. Found a template online, filled in the blanks. Cited irreconcilable differences. Requested equitable distribution of assets. No alimony. I made my own money, didn't want anything from her except out. Kelly came home around 8 carrying takeout bags. I got Thai food. Thought we could have dinner together for once. Guilt dinner. I'd seen it before in fraud cases, the cheater trying to smooth things over, act normal, maintain the lie. Probably David's idea. Keep the spouse complacent while they finalize their exit strategy. Sure, I said. We ate at the kitchen table. Kelly talked about work. Some campaign that was going well. A difficult client she'd won over. David's name came up 3 times in 5 minutes. David suggested. David approved. David thinks. You two work closely together, I observed. He's my boss. And my mentor. I told you, we have a good working relationship. Seems like more than that. She stiffened. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Just an observation. You talk about him a lot. Seem to value his opinion on everything. Because he's good at what he does. He's taught me a lot about the business. I'm lucky to work for someone who actually invests in my development. Lucky, I repeated. She stood up, started clearing plates. Are you going to be weird every time I mention my boss? Because that's going to get old fast. I'm not being weird. I'm just noticing patterns. Patterns. She slammed a plate into the sink. You know what? This is exactly what I'm talking about. You make these passive-aggressive comments. These little digs like you're trying to catch me in something. It's exhausting. Am I wrong? Wrong about what? Is there something between you and David? The question hung there. She could have denied it, could have acted offended, could have gaslit me again. Instead, she said, Why are you asking me this? Because I want to hear you say it. Say what? The truth, for once. She stared at me. Something flickered across her face. Calculation. She was weighing options, deciding how to play this. David and I are close, she said carefully. We work well together. We understand each other. Is that what you want me to say? I want you to tell me if you're sleeping with him. Silence. Long, heavy silence. Then, what difference would it make? My heart stopped. What? I asked what difference it would make. We barely have a marriage anymore. We're roommates who share a last name. You can't tell me you're happy. You can't tell me this is what you imagined when we got married. I imagined my wife being faithful. Faithful? She laughed, bitter. You want me to be faithful to what? To this? To coming home every night to eat dinner in silence and watch TV and go to bed and do it all again the next day? That's not a marriage. That's just existing. So you are sleeping with him? She didn't confirm or deny, just looked at me like I was being deliberately obtuse. I'm not having this conversation. Why not? We're finally being honest. Because you wouldn't understand. You've never understood what I need, what I want. You're content with this small, safe life. I'm not. I want more. More like Portland? Her face went white. What? The Portland office, the transfer, the promotion David arranged for you, the condo you two picked out, the future you're planning together. That kind of more? She took a step back. How do you know about Portland? Does it matter? Have you been spying on me, going through my phone? Does it matter? I repeated. You've been planning to leave me for months. You and David have been coordinating your exit strategy, making me look unstable so your affair would seem justified. You've been using company money to fund your relationship. You've been lying to my face every single day. She grabbed her purse. I'm not doing this. I'm not standing here being accused. Accused? I have proof. Text messages, photos, credit card statements, phone records. I know everything, Kelly. Every lie. Every hotel visit. Every time you told me you were working late and you were actually at his condo. Every time you said you were shopping with friends and you were really planning your new life without me. She stood frozen in the doorway. Who told you? She whispered. Does that matter? Did Patricia? She caught herself. Does she know? Patricia knows everything. She's known for months. We've been comparing notes. Kelly's face cycled through expressions. Shock, fear, anger, calculation. You had no right to talk to her. That's a violation of my privacy. Your privacy. I laughed. It came out harsh. You sent photos of yourself in lingerie to your boss. You've been spending your afternoons in his bed. You told him things about our marriage, our intimate life, that you had no right to share. And you're worried about privacy? This is crazy. You're acting crazy. There it is. The gaslighting. Make me seem unstable. That was the plan, right? Build a narrative that I'm controlling, jealous, paranoid, so when you leave, everyone will understand? She pulled out her phone. I'm calling David. Go ahead. Tell him I know. Tell him Patricia knows. Tell him we have months of evidence and we're filing HR complaints tomorrow. Tell him his career is over. See what he says. She stopped dialing. You're bluffing. Call him and find out. She didn't call, just stood there, mind racing, trying to figure out how to spin this, how to regain control. Nothing's happened yet, she said finally. We haven't done anything illegal. It's just feelings, connection. You can't destroy someone's career over feelings. Feelings didn't misuse company expense accounts. Feelings didn't create a hostile work environment through inappropriate relationship with a subordinate. Feelings didn't lie on financial disclosure forms. You can't prove any of that. I can prove all of it. So can Patricia. We have everything. Timeline, documentation, witnesses. You're done, Kelly. Both of you. She started crying. Real tears. Probably the first genuine emotion she'd shown in months. Please, please don't do this. I'll end it. I'll tell David it's over. We can work on our marriage. Go to counseling. Start over. You don't mean any of that. I do. I swear I do. I made a mistake. I got caught up in something and I lost perspective. But I still love you. I still want our marriage. I looked at her. At this woman I'd spent 13 years with. Loved, trusted, built a life with. No, I said, you don't. You love what I represent. Stability, safety, the backup plan if things don't work out with David, but you don't love me. You probably never did. That's not true. Then why did you tell him you were suffocating? Why did you call me boring? Why did you spend months planning a life with him and never once considered how it would affect me? She didn't have an answer. Tomorrow, I said, HR gets a formal complaint about your relationship with David. Everything we know, everything we've documented, all of it. You'll both be fired, probably by end of day. Patricia's filing for divorce Friday. I'm filing next week. Your reputation is destroyed. Everyone you know, everyone you work with, everyone who saw you at that restaurant and laughed at your joke, they're all going to know exactly what you are. You can't do this. Watch me. I'll tell people you're abusive, controlling, that I was scared of you. Go ahead. I have texts where you discuss your strategy to make me look unstable. I have recordings where you admit to planning this with David. You want to play victim. I have evidence showing premeditation. No one's going to believe you. She collapsed into a chair, buried her face in her hands. Sobbed. Big, heaving sobs that shook her whole body. Part of me wanted to comfort her. Old habit. Years of being her partner. Being the one she turned to when things were hard. But that person was gone. I grabbed my keys. I'm staying at a hotel tonight. You should probably call David. Let him know what's coming. Don't leave, she begged. Please, we can fix this. We can... There's nothing to fix. You broke it. You and David. You broke everything. I walked out, got in my car, drove to a hotel near the airport, one of those extended stay places with kitchenettes and weekly rates. Checked in, sat on the generic bed in the generic room, and felt absolutely nothing. My phone buzzed. Text from Patricia. Kelly called David. He called me. Tried to deny everything, then tried to blame her, said she pursued him. I told him I had evidence proving otherwise. He's panicking. I typed back, good. Let them panic. Tomorrow they'll have a lot more to worry about. Sleep well. Tomorrow's going to be satisfying. I didn't sleep well. Barely slept at all. Just lay there staring at the ceiling, thinking about the last 9 years, trying to figure out when exactly Kelly had stopped seeing me as a husband and started seeing me as an obstacle. Around 3 a.m., my phone buzzed. Text from Kelly. I'm sorry. I know you don't believe me, but I am. I never meant to hurt you. Please don't destroy my career. I'll do anything. I didn't respond. Another text. David's panicking. He's saying we should call your bluff, that you won't actually file the complaint. I told him you would. He's not listening. Still didn't respond. Another. I'm begging you. Please. I'll give you anything in the divorce. The house, the car, everything. Just don't file with HR. I turned my phone off. Thursday morning came. I showered, dressed, drove to Patricia's storage unit. She was already there, laptop open, dressed in a sharp suit like she was going to court. Maybe she was, in a way. Ready? She asked. Ready. She pulled up the ethics portal on her laptop. The complaint was already loaded, just needed to be submitted. One click and David's and Kelly's worlds would explode. Last chance to back out, Patricia said. Once I file this, there's no stopping it. I thought about Kelly's face at that restaurant, her laugh, her casual cruelty, the months of lies. File it, I said. Patricia clicked submit. Done, she said. HR will get the notification within minutes. They'll start investigating by end of hour. We waited, watched Patricia's phone. The tracking app showed David at the office, Kelly too. Different floors, different departments, but both there. Both completely unaware that their careers had just ended. 30 minutes later, Patricia's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Hello? Listened. Yes, this is Patricia Brennan. Yes, I'm aware of the complaint. Yes, I'm willing to provide testimony and evidence. When would you like to meet? More listening. Today at 2? I'll be there. She hung up, looked at me. HR wants to interview me this afternoon. They're taking it seriously. They asked if I had documentation. I said I had extensive documentation. They're going to interview me too? Probably. They'll want to corroborate everything, make sure the complaint holds up. My phone rang, also unknown number. Mr. Harrison, this is Jennifer Chen from Human Resources at Digital Dynamics Marketing. I'm calling regarding a formal complaint that was filed this morning. I understand you may have relevant information. I do. Would you be available to come in this afternoon, around 3? I'll be there. Thank you. And Mr. Harrison, this is a confidential investigation. Please don't discuss it with anyone at the company. Understood. I hung up. Patricia was grinning. It's happening. It's happening. We spent the next few hours prepping. Patricia walked me through what HR would ask, how to present evidence without editorializing, how to stay factual and calm. She'd been through depositions before, knew how to handle this. At 1:45, we drove separately to Digital Dynamics Marketing. The company occupied 4 floors of a renovated brick building downtown. Modern offices, open floor plan, all glass and steel, and inspirational posters about teamwork. Patricia went to her 2:00 appointment. I waited in my car until 2:45, then went inside. The receptionist directed me to a conference room on the 3rd floor. Jennifer Chen was waiting. Late 30s, professional, serious expression. She had a laptop, a legal pad, and a recording device. Thank you for coming in, Mr. Harrison. I'm going to record this interview with your permission. Everything discussed here is confidential and protected under company policy. That's fine. She started the recorder, stated the date and time and participants. Mr. Harrison, you're married to Kelly Harrison, who works in our marketing department under David Brennan's supervision, correct? Correct. And you attended a dinner with Ms. Harrison, Mr. Brennan, and several other employees last Saturday evening? I did. Can you describe what happened at that dinner? I walked her through it. The jokes, the intimate details, the public humiliation, Kelly's response when I objected, David's behavior, Lauren's complicity. Jennifer took notes, asked clarifying questions, remained professionally neutral. Are you aware of any relationship between Ms. Harrison and Mr. Brennan outside of work? I am. What evidence do you have? I pulled out my laptop, showed her the timeline, the phone records, the credit card statements, the text messages, the photos from the private investigator. Jennifer's expression didn't change, but she took extensive notes. How long have you been aware of this relationship? I suspected it Saturday night, confirmed it Sunday. Patricia Brennan and I compared evidence and realized the affair has been ongoing for approximately 8 months. You've been coordinating with Mrs. Brennan? We have. We're both victims of our spouse's deception. We decided to work together to document everything properly. I see. And you're aware that Ms. Harrison has received multiple promotions and raises during her time under Mr. Brennan's supervision? I am. I believe those were granted as a result of their personal relationship, not her professional performance. Though to be fair, I can't prove that definitively. That's your area of expertise. We'll investigate that thoroughly. Thank you for your honesty. She paused. Mr. Harrison, I want to be clear about something. This investigation is about potential policy violations within the company, specifically relationships between supervisors and subordinates, misuse of company funds, and creation of a hostile work environment. The personal aspects of your situation, while regrettable, aren't within our purview. I understand. However, everything you've shown me today gives us grounds to investigate potential serious violations. Both Ms. Harrison and Mr. Brennan will be interviewed separately this afternoon. Depending on what we find, there may be disciplinary action up to and including termination. That's all I'm asking for. Not revenge, just consequences for behavior that violated company policy. Jennifer nodded. We'll conduct a thorough investigation. Thank you for your cooperation. If we have additional questions, we'll be in touch. I left the conference room, took the elevator down. As the doors opened on the 2nd floor, I saw them. Kelly and David standing in the hallway outside another conference room. Kelly looked pale. David was red-faced, gesturing angrily. A woman in a suit, Another HR rep, probably, was trying to get their attention. They saw me. Kelly's face crumpled. David's expression went from angry to panicked. I stepped out of the elevator, walked past them without a word, kept my expression neutral, didn't acknowledge them at all. Behind me, I heard Kelly say, "Michael, please." I kept walking, got to my car, sat there for a moment. My phone buzzed. Text from Patricia. "Just finished my interview. They asked about the expense reports. I showed them everything. The HR rep's face went white. I think they're done." I texted back, "Just saw them in the hallway. Kelly tried to talk to me. I kept walking." "Good. Don't engage. Let HR handle it." I drove back to the hotel, showered, changed clothes, tried to eat but couldn't. Around 6 p.m., Patricia called. "It's done," she said. "David just called me. He's been suspended pending investigation. They took his company laptop and phone, escorted him out of the building. HR told him not to contact anyone at the company until the investigation concludes." "Kelly?" "Same, I assume. David said they were both questioned separately for 3 hours. They tried to deny it at first, then tried to minimize it, then finally admitted to the relationship but claimed it was recent and didn't affect work performance. HR didn't buy it. Too much evidence." "Do you think they'll be fired?" "Absolutely. This isn't a gray area. Company policy is explicit. Romantic relationships between supervisors and direct reports are prohibited. Add in the expense account fraud and its termination for cause. No severance, no unemployment benefits. They're done." I should have felt triumphant, vindicated. Instead, I just felt tired. "Tomorrow I'm filing for divorce," Patricia said. "Papers are ready. I'm asking for alimony, child support, and equitable distribution of all assets. David's going to spend the next 10 years paying for this." "I'm filing next week," I said. "Need a few days to get a lawyer lined up." "I can recommend someone. She's excellent, tough as hell. She'll make sure Kelly doesn't take you for anything." "Send me her information." We hung up. I sat in the hotel room staring at nothing. My phone buzzed. "Kelly? They suspended me. They took everything. My laptop, my phone, my badge. They walked me out like a criminal. Everyone was staring. Everyone saw." Another text. "David's blaming me. Said I pursued him. That he tried to stop it, but I was persistent. He's lying. He's throwing me under the bus to save himself." Another. "I lost everything. My job, my reputation. David's not answering my calls. I think he blocked me. I have nothing." And I stared at the messages. Part of me wanted to feel bad for her, but I remembered the timeline. The texts where she and David planned this together. The way she laughed at that dinner. The way she called me boring and told me to go home. She didn't lose everything. She threw everything away. There's a difference. I texted back, "You made choices. These are consequences." Then I blocked her number, laid back on the hotel bed, closed my eyes. Tomorrow, Patricia would start the legal process of divorcing David. Next week, I'd do the same with Kelly. Their careers were over, their reputations destroyed, but this wasn't finished. Not yet. Patricia was right. They needed to understand this wasn't just about the affair, it was about respect, about humiliation, about making us feel crazy and small and paranoid while they built their dream life on the ruins of our marriages. They wanted to be the power couple everyone envied. We'd make sure everyone saw exactly what they really were. And then we'd make sure they understood, physically and viscerally, what it felt like to lose everything.